Greetings to you, Bedlamites. My name is Sam. I'm one of the creators of the game Bedlam, and this is a short tutorial on how to use the slider. The slider is an integrable integral part of Bedlam, and it is also one of the aspects of the game that people sometimes have a bit of trouble with if they are noobs. So we're going to go over it here. So there's basically three parts to a slider. That is the courage bit up here. You can see the sanity bits down here, and then you've got your gizmo in between, which links your courage and your sanity together. As you can see, my courage and sanity are 5-5 at the moment. That's the way it always will be at the start of your turn. So that's where we'll start for this demonstration. It will soon change, of course, as bedlamy things happen to you. Alright, so say that you've got this opponent over here. Say that during the screw things up phase, he decides to use this weapon on you. It's a double-edged broom handle that does -1 to target sanity and courage. He uses that and he announces that you are the target. The bastard. So he uses that. So that does -1 to my courage. Yeah. And -1 to my sanity. I'm now on 4-4. By the way, the reason why you would generally be screwing about with your slider here is because you are dealing with something on top of the pile, usually an enemy or an ordeal, and you can see that this particular yappy dog has the courage of 5 and a sanity of 7. So what I ideally want is to get my courage and sanity higher than its courage and sanity. At the moment, not looking too good on 4-4. Luckily, there are things that I can do to affect my slider as well, in the same way that my opponent just did, although hopefully the things I do to it will be more positive in flavour. So what can I do? I've got my thing here. This is my genuine leather underpants. It does +3 to courage, but -1 to sanity. So say that I go ahead and use that. Then I get a +3 to my courage, 1, 2, 3, and -1 to my sanity. So my linked value is now 7-3. Okay, better on the courage, but worse on the sanity. What else can I do? I have a look here. I've got Nezwad. Hello, Nez. He does -1 to a target's courage, and I'm not going to do that to myself because I don't want to make myself less courageous, but I'll just do it quickly to the dog just to show you the difference in targets. So the dog's currently on 5 courage, as you can see here. If I target him with Nez, which I will do, he goes down to 4. Now his courage and sanity, he doesn't have a slider, so they're independent of each other. There's no link between them. So that just happens like that. Okay, so there we go. Now what else could I do? I've got some effects in my hand. I've got +3 to target's courage. So why don't I do that? I'll choose myself as the target, and I'll boost my courage up 3. So now I'm on 9-3. Just as an aside, you can see how there's all these 9s together, and similarly there's all these 1s down the bottom here. Basically that's because 9 is the highest value that anything in the game can reach, and 1 is the lowest value. But there is still a point, say that you somehow got a +1 to your courage and boosted it up a bit more. You're still on 9, the numerical value hasn't changed, but you're further along into the positive side of your courage. So you don't really have to worry about all that so much. It's just a little explanation for those who are interested in it. So what next? I've got here my book learning, +2 to target sanity. I'll play that. I will target myself. 1, 2, get up to 5. And yeah, now the other thing that you can do when you are dealing with something, now this only happens during your own turn when you are the one dealing with something. You can move your gizmo. Now you can move your gizmo as many spaces as there are opponents in the game. So in a 4-player game I would have 3 opponents and I could move my gizmo 3 spaces. Now when you move your gizmo, so I go 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I've moved it 3 spaces, and now my linked value is 8-8. But you'll notice that when you move your gizmo, you go down on one stat and up on the other. It's a trade-off. Basically, every move on a gizmo is +1 to something and -1 to the other thing. All about balance and context, you understand, and trade-offs. All right, so I've done that. By the way, also as a bit of an aside, gizmo design is different depending on what edition of the game that you have. So if you've got the card-only edition, then this will be a little diamond. If you've got the deluxe, it'll be a square with a cross on it. This is the digital edition, so I've got this fancy thing here. Alright, so I'm on 8-8. You can see that I'm actually dealing very well with the neighbour's yappy dog. So what else? I should probably just briefly mention that there are ways for external forces to affect one's gizmo. See here, if my opponent had this weapon, if they had the diamond-studded grappling hook, then they could adjust an opponent's gizmo by 2 spaces. So they might choose to do that to me. Say that they wanted to sort of make my sanity weaker, then they could do that. Now, why would they do that? Maybe you ask, because they are actually buffing up my courage when they do it. It might be because they're attacking me on the sanity side, because maybe I don't have many mind points and they want to drive me crazy. Maybe there's an enemy out there that does something particularly bad if you're crazy against it. All about context there. You've also got things like this, the mind drink. If I didn't have that thing, then I might have the mind drink, which is +1 to gizmo movement. So then I would get an extra point of moving my gizmo around. Alright, but I think that pretty much covers it, guys. Any questions? Oh no, that's right. This is a recording. Too bad, no questions for you. Goodbye.